Welcome back. This is our episode 4 review of Star Wars Skeleton Crew on Star Wars Wastelands, presented by Fandom Empire. Joining me on this one, he's the man behind Bros Before Pros over on Twitch. It's Johnny. What's going on, man? Did you get a chance to tackle Indy yet, or still waiting?
No, I have not had a chance yet. I have felt like the south face of a northbound train lately, so no, I haven't touched it. Yeah.
Also joining us, Randy. What's going on, brother?
Not a whole lot. Just I'm still trying to wrap my head around the fact that Christmas is a week away. So yeah, there's that. But other than that, kind of just working my ass off. Same old stuff at a different day, pretty much.
I could not be more excited that Christmas is a week away. I'm looking forward to it. Have been for a while. My oldest guy comes down on Sunday, and he's here for a week, and we're going to binge the Harry Potter movies during that week. So that'll be fun, with mixed in with Christmas activities and get-togethers and stuff, and a Gears of War night a little later on. We're just really looking forward to the tail end of this year. But episode 4 in the books, guys, halfway through Skeleton Crew, just like that. Johnny, gonna send it down to you first on your overall thoughts of episode 4.
Well, there was more. I don't want to say questions because obviously we're going to keep getting that until we reach sort of that upper threshold. So saying it every week is sort of unnecessary. But I enjoyed this episode because it gave us a deeper look at the kids, and the way they operate and the way they think and how they actually feel about where they're at, sort of at this halfway point. So it was nice. It was fun. We got our action, we got story built in there, and we got a bit more of the intrigue, as far as what's going on and what this is actually all about, and a much deeper dive into how the ship ended up on Ad-Atten when it did in the first episode, which is obviously a question I really want answered. Um, it was fun. It was exciting. It was a good rush. It was, for me, better than last week, which isn't saying very much because last week, like I said, I didn't really enjoy last week's episode as much. But this week was a good come up. We got a little bit of shine on everybody, which is good in an ensemble like this, and it felt more of what it is as far as what we were promised. Goonies and Star Wars. We got that in this episode a lot more, which was fun. I like the interactions with the Ad Akron people versus what we've had before, which was nice. Sort of getting that tribal Mad Max-ish thing going on, which was fun. I liked it. Um, I I'm excited to see where we're going from here. We're halfway there, so we're gonna start getting answers to questions, which is good. And I think next week we're gonna get more in the history of the ship category, which will be good, as we sort of build towards getting the kids back home.
Randy, how about you? What did you think of episode 4?
So for me, I think the biggest crap I had was that there was times there's some slow times, but other than that, I enjoyed the episode. I liked how, like Johnny said, the kids got to shine in their own way. I really liked just some of the interactions, whether it's the whole thing with SM33 and Jod, or uh, the fact that we got to see how much of a ladies' man Neil really is. Um, and yeah, I liked the use of the music. I liked the set design that they did. I liked how you got to see that, like, kind of a question that gets tossed out there is every one of these worlds, these supposedly hidden worlds, are they all cookie cutter? Because it seems like we're on a world that's was built very similarly and almost identical to Ad-Aden, but just happened to be one of the worlds that was destroyed. So that raises a bunch of questions about all of them as a whole. Were they meant to be copies of each other, or is there a different purpose for all this? Which I thought was a real interesting question to kind of bring up based on what this kind of disheveled world looked like. Um, I did like I love the effects. I love the ship. I'm more and more into the ship every time I see it, just because it seems like it's getting a little cleaner every time I see it. So there's more to it that's just kind of piquing my interest. That, like Johnny suggested, hopefully we get to learn more about the ship, because that thing probably has a couple stories in its own right to tell by itself. But yeah, it's crazy that we're halfway through and we still have a lot of questions to go, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah, so on the ship's origin, like out of story, most of that design is the original design for the Millennium Falcon,
Yep.
which is pretty cool. Still looks very similar to the Jedi ship in Star Wars: The Old Republic, um,
I also get some Ebonhawk vibes too.
for sure. Which that ship also gave too with the paint scheme, anyway. Um, Obviously, the paint scheme much different in the show. Uh, I really enjoyed the episode. Like, I've yet to have this happen with a Star Wars show where I've basically rated all four episodes the same. And I'm going to tip my hat here and say that's what I'm going to do here is, um, they're just really good. It's a very well crafted show at this point. Um, they've knocked four episodes out of the park for me, considering where my expectations were going in on this show. Couldn't have been lower. And I'm just very impressed with how they've handled it. I'm impressed with the child cast. They've been able to carry their own. Neil was a fucking superstar in this episode. Um, Jude Law's a nice mix. This episode, towards the end, when SM33 sort of has his little malfunction there or whatever it was, um, just out of nowhere got like it's kind of the tale of three episodes for me, or three different styles of movies in this one episode. I feel like the first third of the episode, even though I'm not a Goonies fan, you could say really felt like the Goonies. The meat of the episode felt like some of the more suspenseful moments in Saving Private Ryan, which is a Spielberg flick. And then the later part of the episode just really felt like out of nowhere. It's like, oh, okay, we're feeling like a horror movie now. It's um, just a wild, you know, stew of different genres in this one episode, and they did it well. And for me, this show continues to impress, and I'm just really happy with it. Um, Anything stand out that anybody wants to address? Like, I feel like we all know there's something nefarious here going on with at Atten, and there's some big secrets to be revealed later on. but in terms of where we are currently in the show, is there anything that people think you guys think we might get addressed soon? Because I can't foresee the big secrets behind AT-AT and being revealed till closer to the end.
I think we're gonna get more of the smaller secrets sooner than the bigger ones. Um, I think, and to a certain degree, I think the truth of AT-AT, and I don't even think will necessarily be revealed here. Just because I don't know that there's a character in this story to tell us that narrative. Um, because unless you want to bring in somebody else who's not a part of this story, someone like a pure off the wall thinking who would fit in, like a Maz Kanata, who would have history with sort of the piratey element of the story with Jod, and history of the galaxy with her age. Unless you wanted to interject a character like her to tell us the story of AT-AT and from her perspective, I don't think we're going to get those big answers about what AT-AT really is until somewhere else down the line. Where that is,
Well,
I don't know.
I can think of a character that's around in known space that would have these answers, who's at one point was rumored to possibly pop up in this show. Wasn't an ironclad thing, but one might say he's incredibly intelligent and has a thing for tactics, and has just returned to this part of the galaxy during this time. I think Thrawn would be an excellent fit for something like this, and definitely leave the kids in a precarious position.
He's not out of the realm of possibilities. It would make sense if they can tie it into Thrawn's overall arc, which I'm sure they can. Especially if it's you know some sort of weapon or tech or something to that effect involved. Because if it's just about treasure, I don't see how that fits in with Thrawn as much. But
Agreed. I think it's a
it,
matter of this planet had other
yeah,
purposes for it.
if it's some sort of technological, or even as much as the Shroud that's kept the planet hidden for as long as it has.
The great work.
Exactly. So, like, if they're going to tie it into something like that, then yes, I could see Thrawn going after it and wanting it for himself. But if it is more about, treasure and piratey, goony stuff, then Thrawn doesn't so much make sense, but Amaz Kanata does.
Or even Hondo, who's apparently been rumored potentially for the series as well. So, considering his love of treasure and especially stuff that's been around since the old Republic, uh, the Republic itself, it's like you could sit there and think he'd be searching for it as well. So we're going to get somebody. There has to be someone who's going to pop up and have a little bit of knowledge of all the worlds, not just AT-AT, but like all the ones that were brought up in the previous episode that makes up this whole area. But I mean, it's a wait and see. I mean, it'd be cool to see a Thrawn, but the only, like you guys said, the only way Thrawn really would factor into this is if there was something that was there that would give him some sort of technological or tactical advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And it'd be interesting just to see how you could work him in to kind of help give this cast another crack at portraying the characters again down the line, just because of the movie and where they're heading with Thrawn. But it's gonna be interesting because I feel like right now we're at a point where we're just scratching the surface. I feel like the way the show is going, they definitely had multiple seasons in mind, and I kind of hope we get it. I would love the idea of just kind of branching this out and dragging it out, and to just when they finally decide to do like a series finale, have finally give us a lot of the answers we've been looking for, that and being rewarded for it.
I think the problem they face is John Watts has said he has an idea for season two, that they're interested in pursuing it, but they won't do the Stranger Things thing. The kids have already aged so much that in timeline they will have to jump, 3, 4, 5 years. And the problem with that is we haven't jumped that far with the Mandalorian yet. He's the main focus of that timeline, him and Grogu. We have not one but two movies coming up that are tied in with one another, the Mandalorian and Grogu, and then the Filoni movie. Plus you have Ahsoka season two. So like I would love season two of this, but realistically, you aren't getting it before 2027 or 2028. And that's a long ass way off.
Yeah. I think if you were going to do a multiple season arc of this, I think you needed to plan that going in.
Yep.
That needed to be the decision without going down that road. And granted, for me, that's not as big. Like when you cast child actors like this, you're going to expect, them to grow up. It's just facts, it's reality. But if you don't have that plan going in, it can be just too much, too fast. And it's a reality they face. So that if they were going to do multiple, they needed to have it planned out so that they could go basically straight back into production, like you would any other TV series, and just be right back at, even if you don't release it right away,
And, and
which is fine. But
and we
you
know
need to
that on
go
top of
ahead.
that though, we know that the Filoni movie is the Imperial Remnant led by Thrawn
Mhm.
against the New Republic. We also know they'd like to do a third movie after those two to wrap it up. Okay. You won't be able to deal with any known space whatsoever, and they're very much still in known space up until where they just ended up here, as we seen the X-wings called last episode. Like you can't even really be able to do that until you've caught the audience up on what is actually going on during that time. And there's just too many important things that are coming in Mandalorian and Grogu and the Filoni movie that apparently, make it a galactic conflict here for a bit. It this is the problem when you have so many projects that miss and so many projects that go into development and don't get made despite being announced that they're going to come out. You don't have confidence that a story you're doing is going to get a season two. And now, as much as you want to do season two, and I would love to see it too, it's one thing waiting a couple of years for a TV show, but you are asking a lot for your audience over here, your general audience specifically, to, wait 3, possibly 4 years for a season two.
It's a risk. You have to, that's the thing where they're trying to skate the extremely thin ice between, the diehards and the casuals, where the people like us, even if we have to wait 4 or 5 years, we're still going to come back, especially if we enjoy the first season, because this is what we're going to do. We're going to be back no matter what. But the casuals, 4 or 5 years is a long time for you to stay both in their sort of pop culture memory banks and be something they want to come back to.
No argument here, man. Like that's the corner they've backed themselves into. And I'm not trying to be negative Nancy about this because I think this show's a hit. And I don't think it's just among the three of us. 95% heading into tonight's episode on Rotten Tomatoes. And shockingly, despite the normal toxic bullshit that's online with Star Wars, regardless if it's warranted or not, the overall reception of this series has been super positive.
Yeah,
I,
they've sort
I
of
think
found
we're
that.
not surprised.
No, they've sort of found that formula where the portion of the fan base that are going to critique anything and everything and just make it negative can't actively attack kids because there's nothing there for them that's going to make them look good. Like if you attack, the thing that got the uproar last week was, finding out that uh, KB has two moms. Great.
Yeah, it was
You
on
do you.
screen for 5 seconds and over.
But that's what they were coming at because there's nothing else for them to come at. You can't come after the kids because, well, they're kids. They're going to get not a free pass, but,
Tell that to Jake Lloyd.
well, that's, you know, I'd say that's where the fan base learned their lesson a little.
I sure as fuck hope so.
At this point, it seems that way. Just because the negative Nancy's, the naysayers, the always wrongs, aren't going after them like they would have a Jake Lloyd. Maybe it's because they realize attacking a child is not in any way good, no matter what your perspective or point or thought or anything of that sort. So I don't. It's interesting. They're telling a good story, and you're right. It's getting on Rotten Tomatoes. It's in both categories. 95-80. That's you know. I mean, I know that they've Rotten Tomatoes has worked a lot harder to sort of remove those troll bombers, but it's a hard thing to accomplish to have ratings that high this far into a series.
And it was top 10 amongst all streaming shows last week in the world. So something that Acolyte was not able to do, and some of the prior shows as well. So I'm happy for it. I don't think this would ever happen, but Hondo's obviously he'd be fun to have come up on in the show, but a character that I think would be really good to just appear for an episode and not even be like he doesn't need to be in the episode front to end, just a little, maybe he's in the middle arc of it or the end arc of it, give him 10 minutes or something on screen, is have them end up on Naboo for some reason while trying to find their way home. Jar Jar Binks, like him or not, would fit with the characters in this show as part of their journey. Not a big part, but a stop along the way.
Oh, Jod would have fun with him. That would be a crazy cameo, but as far as I know, he's still alive in this era. So
He is, yeah. He was in Aftermath.
So yeah,
Feed though at this point, right? That's where he was in Aftermath.
Yeah, he's a jester, basically, just making kids laugh on the street.
But I really feel like the reason the show's doing so well is it's something different. It's away from the Skywalker saga. It's not attached to it in any way, shape, or form. But it's also giving off these nostalgic vibes. With whether it's Pirates of the Caribbean or Goonies or Stranger Things or whatever. It's that feel good moment where you're just like, this is what this felt like the first time I saw it. It's like when I saw Pirates of the Caribbean, I got this exact same feeling, or same with Goonies or Stranger Things or anything similar to that. And that, I think that's one of the reasons why people are enjoying it. Plus, I don't know about you, but I don't really ever hear anything bad about anything with Jude Law in it usually, unless it's the Fantastic Beasts movies. But he always plays a likable character, and even when he's playing a scoundrel, it's a likable character. So it's really hard to bag on him. It's hard to bag on the kids because they have such great chemistry and they're doing such a great job. And yeah, the story's fun, and it's, like I said, it's different. It's something. It's an area we've never really approached before in Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, Jude Law has been great. He definitely probably has my favorite moment in the episode, and there was a bunch to pick of. I'll get to that later on. But I don't know. The show just seems to be clicking on all cylinders, and it's funny that you bring up Pirates of the Caribbean because we rewatched episode 3 today, And one, dating back to our episode last week where I said that the one character in the droid shop sounded familiar, but we couldn't figure it out. Mr. Alfred Molina, aka Doc Ock, is who voiced that character. And secondly, Jod is in the droid shop. If you just go back and watch that part again and pay attention to the music, it is like almost note for note taken from Pirates of the Caribbean. And I'm just like, oh my god, I didn't notice that on the first rewatch. And like, it is so damn close. Which I did, because I mean, Pirates is one of my favorite movie franchises. So,
So I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to like the credits, but like for the credits for this one, the music playing is almost like a combination of The Mandalorian and Pirates of the Caribbean. It's like they took both styles from the main themes for both, and they kind of mingled it together to create the what was in the end credits. And I thought it was good. Like I mean, I just was like, man, this is like bringing up all kinds of like stuff that I think about, and when it comes to those types of movies, and I thought it was just so well done. Like I said, they've done such a great job with the music compared to some of the crap we got with the Acolyte.
yeah, some family connections when it comes to the score on this. Michael Giacchino, who did Rogue One, it's his son that's doing the score for this. So that's fun. No doubt he called dad for some tips at some point, and it's hitting well. Again, the show takes a lot for a show to really hit in all categories, and this one's doing it. And it's weird because like Andor and this are just two completely different tones, and yet the quality of both of those series just seem to be miles and above everything else. All right, so let's get to our favorite moment of the episode, fellas. Favorite moment, Johnny. Gonna go down to you.
I have got to go with the moment at the end there with Fern and Wim in the control tower, where Fern was having her basic crisis of skill, I guess, and you know Wim should be the captain. I think the captain we would have got. Just that moment of there was just so much emotion in that moment, which allowed you to see the depth of the characters and Fern having her realization of it's a droid, it's being told what to do. We can work around that and figuring out how to move the story forward, which in the end went badly, but initially did exactly what they wanted to happen. So it was that moment. I just I felt the emotion in that moment. Fern questioning herself and you know Wim admitting that you know I'm a front. We wouldn't be here if I was the one in charge. Was just great character building from both of them in an emotional moment that pushed the story forward. And again, you were talking about the music before. The music in that moment was great. Just it was just a great moment all around. That was my favorite.
How about you, Randy?
So for me, I'm going to go with a little levity here for my favorite scene is Neil being a ladies' man. I mean, just sitting there having that nice little chat, and then you see him just kind of scooting closer, and I just died laughing because I was like, "That's right, get it, little man." All that talk, and you think about it in the first episode, like he's like, "I just haven't worked up to it yet," trying to talk to the girl in class, and now all of a sudden he's going through this adventure of his own, and here he is with an opportunity, and he went for it. I thought that to me, I thought that was great. Obviously, we had some more Neil centric moments in this episode, but this one, like I said, just for the levity purposes and the fact that we get to see his personality starting to come out more, I think that's definitely why that's my favorite moment.
I think for me, it's when Jod and SM33 are coming down the ramp, and Jod's trying to like manipulate him into helping find the treasure, and then all of a sudden there's this militia force in front of them, and he's just like, you know what, just shoot me. Like he's at his wits end. Very very Han Solo-ish. I really dug it. It was a lot of fun.
That was definitely a funny moment. An audible laugh out of me on that scene.
Yeah, it was good. Jude Law has been just spectacular so far. Favorite character of the episode. I feel like this one should be a given, but we'll see who got dropped on their head. Randy, how about you?
So I'll stick on the Neil train just because, like I said, we got to see more of his personality. We got to see him have a hero moment of sorts as well, which I thought was really cool. And just overall, I like how the character is growing, and he like from the first episode to this episode, how he's actually really growing on me as a character. So is for me is for this episode.
Johnny?
Yeah, no, it's Neil. This was his episode. I came to that conclusion very early in the episode that this was going to be his day to shine. From seeing him with the other characters there on Akron, and giving his portion of food to the hungry kids. You got to see the depth of Neil, and then like Randy said, you got to see him coming out of his shell and being the you know young ladies man that he's trying to be, just scooting closer, and just everything about that, him putting down the gun, realizing, just everything he did in this episode built to that moment where he stood down SM and threw the rocks at him and saved the rest of the crew before basically just be willing to just, okay, I saved you, whatever happens next. It was just a great, this was his episode, this was his time to shine, and he did a great job within it without being able to pull on a lot of the things that you get in these performances, being in the prosthetics and CG and everything that suit's made out of, still brought the emotion, still brought the depth, which is a lot harder to do when you can't call on facial emotions and things like that. So Neil, all around, this was his time to shine. This was his episode.
Sorry, fellas. Um, so let me go back to Jod here for a second. We were throwing out predictions at what he could be or who he is. I don't know if we really got any more of a look at who he is in this episode, in terms of like backstory. But I did think the fact that he, you know, played savior and went back for the kids there. I don't know if he really needed to do that. Like, I think it shows the character definitely does have a bit of a heart despite all of his misgivings.
You're definitely right. I was, with everything that he went through, and he still ended up going, you know what? He's definitely, the kids are definitely growing on him. You can tell. I mean, he's even taken on their personality to some degree, like in the beginning of the episode, how hyper he was seeing the planet, thinking it was at and how like that joyful that kid energy, that like that kid at Christmas energy. So that you can tell like that type of infectious energy is wearing off on him from the kids, and I think that's really cool that we're getting to see them as a group kind of resemble more and more of a family, even though it's not like a big difference. You're noticing how he's just grown attached to the kids over the past few episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think that was really present in this one. Um, Any predictions for the back half? Um, without looking forward to season two, where do we think these final four episodes are going?
Well, I mean, we're gonna get the kids back home because, yeah, you have to. This can't end with anything other than a happy ending. Especially a series about kids that you don't know has a second season. So you're not gonna leave on the, will they make it home? Dot dot dot. Ending, because that would be the worst possible decision they could make, and I'd fire everyone if they did that without having a second season in the bag. Uh, Other than that, I think we're gonna get some answers about what's going on. Not necessarily all of them, but we are gonna get a better picture of what AT-AT really is in the grand scheme. And I think for me, it's safe to say we're going to have a cameo from someone in the greater Star Wars universe. Who that is, I don't know. We've talked about Hondo and Thrawn and Maz Kanata, all those possibilities. So I think we're going to get something from somebody who helps answer those questions about what AT-AT really is. That's what I think we've got in the back half.
Yeah, I'd like to see them be creative with their cameo if they're going to have it. Episode 5 in most of the eight episode seasons of certain series of Star Wars is usually a big episode where big important things happen. So I think we might be in for a big one next week, which would also be it would air Christmas Eve. I don't know if we'll be doing a show. My guess is probably not, but um, I could see it being a big episode. I just feel like with the Star Wars stuff, like Hondo seems like a gimme if you're going to do a cameo of someone, but like I think it's got to be someone involved with the Mandoverse.
And not Teva. we need someone that's not flying an X-wing.
We had that opportunity,
right? I think another thing, we need to have at least one more encounter with Brutus, since we know he's after Jod.
Oh yeah.
So there has to be, like, I would love to see kind of a ship battle, like kind of see the starship kind of put through its paces a little bit, not kind of like what we saw at the port, but show its true capabilities and kind of see what it can actually do. I think that'd be kind of neat. 'Cause, what's Star Wars without a space battle, right? But yeah, we'll probably learn a little bit more about AT-AT. Maybe we'll get more backstory on Jod, which I think would be kind of neat. Because say we did get a Maz Kanata cameo, given her age and how well she's known through that area, she may even know more about him than he realizes, or he knows her, like that sort of thing. So there's a lot of possibilities on the table here to really kind of push the rest of the season forward, especially from episode 5 jumping off point, because that's usually what episode 5 does, is push everything forward to the finale.
Yeah, and you have to assume that one of these episodes is going to be story wise reserved for some Jod reveals, I would think.
I think we're gonna get some for sure.
All right, fellas, what are we giving this out of 10? How many Ewoks are we giving it out of 10, Johnny?
I am going to come in at 7 Ewoks out of 10 for this episode. Still got room to go up, but better than last week and closer to par with the first 2.
What about you, Randy? What are you giving it out of 10?
So I'm gonna agree with Johnny and give it a 7, because I still haven't had that blow me away episode. Obviously, I kind of got a little too excited when we did Ahsoka, and I kind of came crashing back down to earth with the Acolyte when we did that review. So now that I finally have like a good groove here, I feel like I'm just kind of waiting for that. I'm waiting for that blow me away moment to kind of push it past like the 7.5 range, to at least, maybe, because this thing has room to really give us something special. And we got 4 episodes to do it. So 7.
I'm going to go 7.5 again. Yes, I know that's 4 episodes, 7.5 episode ratings. I never thought in a million years I'd have that for any show that I'm doing ratings for. If you've, you know, heard my, overall scores for some of the ones in the past, I go out of my way, but like it's just consistent and it's refreshing. Um, so yeah, Star Wars Skeleton Crew. It's definitely hitting. Just wanted to take a moment and say our thoughts and prayers are with our friend Matt right now, and hoping that he's able to get the help that he needs to in order to live a happy and healthy life. Big thank you to our channel sponsors, Matt, Ryan over at Kaulignation, Jesse Storytime Spectacular, and Mr. Jason Knight over at Backtrack Cinema. We will have continuing videos going forward on the Supernatural Revisited show occasionally here in the new year. There will be none before then. And in terms of our Star Wars content, we're getting ready to start a Andor rewatch leading into season 2 of that in the next month or so. And we'll probably squeeze some fun stuff in between there. Johnny, what do you got going on over at the Twitch channel?
At some point this week, we're gonna start Indiana Jones. By this week, I mean over the holidays. So it's more like over the next 2 weeks, we're gonna get started on it with the holidays and everything, sort of spicing up and in between. So we're gonna get started on that. Um, yeah, we're gonna play some other stuff. I don't know what. Um, but yeah, got some stuff coming over there.
What about you, Randy? What do you got coming?
So, as the NFL season trudges on, so does the Sports Brew. I can confirm we're recording tomorrow night, and we'll probably have it up before the holidays. Obviously, with Christmas coming, a lot of everybody's focus is going to be there, so we'll probably be taking a break after that. But other than that, yeah, just here on Tuesdays. Obviously, like you said, with Christmas next week, I probably won't be recording next week, but I would assume the week after that's New Year's, dude. So I don't know how that's going to work either. But yeah,
It's not that I won't be available to do like a Christmas Eve review of it. It would just be short. Like this episode is going to end before the 45-minute mark. I'd want to keep that one, regardless of the contents of the episode, to like 30 minutes tops. So, but yeah, it's just a weird release schedule, right? So, almost wish they would have left it on Mondays since they debuted it on Mondays.
It's
But
smart for them, not for us.
yeah, agreed. Unlike how they debuted it, where they debuted it on a Monday and could have debuted it on Thanksgiving. So they could have hit it all, right? They could have had Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, but wonder if they'll look back and regret that one.
I think the reasoning behind it is to not have to compete with Monday Night Football, to be perfectly honest.
But they did. That was the whole point.
Yeah.
The one time, yeah, but I'm talking about in terms of like the remaining schedule. But I agree that should have stayed on Monday. Would have given us
The Monday doesn't work for them. Monday's not smart. It's not smart for them to release on Mondays. But it hurts us. It doesn't hurt them. They're the smart ones here. Releasing on the holidays when you can maximize eyeballs is the smart thing to do.
We will
Which
find
is
a
why
way
they
one
should have
way
done
or another.
Thanksgiving and
Yeah.
then Tuesdays the rest of the way.
We will find a way one way or another to get out some episode reviews. They just might not be of the long variety the next couple of weeks. But most importantly, for whatever reason we don't see you between now and Christmas, we wish everybody at home a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays and safe travels. Lots of traveling during this time of year, and a lot of it in inclement weather. And just definitely use caution, be safe. Love everybody out there. Appreciate the support. And we will see you again on Phantom Empire.